It's interesting because they're talking about all these things. They're talking about the rights of these corporations and these entities out there. But notice that no one's pushing a bill toward mining your particular rights on the internet. The particular bill that is out there, the one that John Kerry was pushing, which didn't have any teeth to it in the first place, is still sitting in committee. It hasn't even come up for a vote. But the thing that I found very interesting is Europe is doing something now. Europe has a proposed bill that's out there which is going to affect the whole 27 Eurozone countries, talking about these companies like Google and Amazon.com cannot take your information any longer and do whatever they want to do with it. They have to tell you what they're doing with their information, and they have to have your permission to do it with those. And they also were talking about, there was an issue where if you decided that you didn't want your information to be out there any longer, they have to delete all your information. So they can't be able to maintain your information. So they have to keep a record of who has your information and why they have it and get your permission about it. They have to explain to you why. And then if you decide, for example, to change from Facebook to Google Platinum, for example, you are allowed to move all your pictures and all your information over from Facebook, who has to delete all of your stuff and not maintain it, and bring it over to Google Platinum. So this is the thing that we're talking about, which makes a lot of sense, because us as consumers should be able to control our information online. And if they don't, there's stiff penalties. Now, see, Europe has got it going on because they understand the issue of privacy and be able to protect your own privacy. The United States is way far behind in this particular issue. The vote is going to be coming up soon, I think in the summertime, and hopefully we'll see what Europe is going to do. We're going to stay on top of this particular issue, but I thought it was very important to see that they understand that, you know, your persona is not just you personally walking down the street. Your persona is who you are online. And we have a right to be able to control our information, and we have a right to tell them to get rid of our information and stuff. And I think that's important. Yeah,
it's only fair. I mean, it's similar to the rule we had here with telephone numbers. You know, when people went to change to another cell phone company, a lot of people would hesitate even if they didn't like the company they were with because they wanted to keep their number. And once they got the ability to move it over, then that kind of eliminated that issue. So again, as technology advances and we have all these other things, we need to actually look at all of the issues so that the consumer does have a choice and the consumer is protected.
You know, one of the things I didn't even know, you know, everybody has an Xbox, everybody has a PlayStation or whatever, but they would talk about Xbox Connect and how you can get up there and you can use it to play games and play tennis and things like that. Did you know that that thing records your body image and recognizes you the next time you come up?
Oh, really?
Yes, it records your body image and stuff and acknowledges who you are and recognizes you. And so they were even saying in Europe that they don't want them to even do that. They want the system to automatically ask for your permission to maintain that information in the system. If you don't, then it has to acknowledge you and recognize who you are. Because why would isn't it interesting that that system can recognize your body image, and plus it has your personal information and stuff about you online? Because when you sign up for some of these games online and stuff like that, you put your information in there. There's information that's out there that we have no control over, and we need to rein this thing back in. The internet was about ease of access, right? It was about making our lives easier. But what it really has done is exposed ourselves to a whole bunch of other things that no one seems to be doing anything about. Now, we talked about how technology is going crazy, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on with the Supreme Court. Because, again, we need to understand that there has to be a balance, but there also has to be a pushback. We talked about this case previously, Lorie. I want to let you bring us into that particular piece.
Yeah, this particular case was about a case where the police actually put a tracking device on a gentleman's car because he was believed to be trafficking cocaine.
Right.
And they actually tracked him over time, you know, and
a long period of time.
Yeah, a long period of time. And the issue now that came up before the Supreme Court is whether or not that's legal and whether or not the police can do that without a warrant. So the Supreme Court has deemed that no, you can't. That you actually have to have go out and get a warrant before you can actually use this device. And then they're also looking at the issue as to how long this can be done and how long the tracking can occur. But I think it's very necessary. And as we talked about before, you know, it would be great if the world was wonderful and the police did everything they were supposed to do all the time, but that's not the case. You know, we have cases of police brutality, we have cases of, you know, DAs and, you know, police in collusion to try and do whatever they need. I mean, do whatever they need to do, whether they think it's for the right or, you know, just to get over. it doesn't matter, and we can't have that issue, especially once technology gets involved, where they're invading the privacy of the average citizen, because one day it may be a drug dealer, the next day it may be you.
Well, I mean, when you think about technology, and let's just say, for example, most people buy cars, right? Cars nowadays cost almost a quarter of what you paid for your house. So that's like, you know, your little home away from home. And you have insurance companies that are installing little black boxes within these new cars that are out there tracking how you drive and things like that. When you have OnStar that is recording where you go and your information and tracking your gas mileage and things like that, and selling that information to third parties, where does it come to a point where we can say no? Where's the sanctity of privacy exists when we're allowing all of these things going on? Matter of fact, it doesn't even exist, because even in your cell phone, even if you want it or not, there's a GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everybody has a GPS in their car. Why do we need it in a cell phone?
Yeah.
Why do we need it in a cell phone? And they're tracking your information, as we know, with all of these people like, I have 1 million apps. Yeah, and 1 million people are tracking everything that you're doing. Because you didn't read the fine print. You didn't read the scroll that they had. You know, if we rolled it out, we'd go from probably this side of the country to the next. But because we just don't read it, we're going to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so my concern is that there is no wait for George Orwell to get here. 1984 already exists.
Yeah.
We're being tracked all over the place. What about cameras that are out there? There's no permission to take your picture, but your picture is being taken over 1,000 times when you walk around the city of New York, and somebody controls that information and that image. And then the thing that I thought was very interesting, Lorie, because I don't know if people outside of New York know anything about this, and they've been talking about it with Commissioner Kelly. They were talking about this whole idea of having this device that can body image you and see if you have a weapon or not. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing that I think a lot of people miss, that Commissioner Kelly said, that I thought was very interesting and affects communities of color. He said, we won't have to do as many stop and frisk. So what you really are saying to me is that you're going to use this technology in whose community?
In the communities of color.
Because where the stop and frisk taking place?
Yeah.
They're not in the Upper East Side in New York City. They're in Queens. They're in Brooklyn. You know, East New York and Bedford-Stuyvesant, and those places where they're constantly stopping us. And of course, what do we say? 90% of the time, people are innocent.
Yeah.